Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. She's very smart. There's a great story. I can't really tell you who this was, but it was a very important person. And it happened within hours of the news.
Andrew has married the sibling of a famous prominent musician. He really has a type. So now we know why him and Erika get along so well. They're both thirsty for fame and clout.
The TPUSA situation is starting to look way deeper than random internet gossip, and people cannot stop noticing how intensely Andrew Kolvet defends Erika Kirk every single time her name comes up. At first, most people brushed off the affair rumors as just another conspiracy that blew up after Charlie Kirk's passing. But then old clips started resurfacing, connections started getting dug up, and people began realizing Andrew keeps placing himself right in the center of every Erika controversy like it's something personal. Now critics are asking the one question that's making everyone uncomfortable. Why is Andrew this emotionally invested? It all really escalated after a TPUSA insider claimed Andrew Kolvet's wife, Caitlin, was allegedly getting ready to end their marriage of over 13 years. According to screenshots of an article circulating online,
And you know, where the line really gets for me is if you're going to come for Erika Kirk, you're going to start having to go through me, Blake, and the rest of us, because I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of Charlie's widow getting attacked senselessly. And that's it.
Erika is accused of allegedly having an affair with her now employee and TPUSA spokesman, Andrew Kolvet. None of this is being confirmed through court documents, and there are no visible public filings in Santa Barbara County. But people noticed that Andrew and his wife had already started wiping a lot of their personal information from public databases months before any of this went viral. So people started treating it as fact, literally saying, the question is now, who has she not had an affair with at TPUSA? The rumors got even louder after Andrew chose to publicly respond instead of staying quiet. He denied everything, but his response raised more eyebrows than it put to rest. He wrote, "Lol, all you wish, fat boy. Keep my wife's name out of your mouth and off your feed, or you'll have more problems than you bargained for." Even people who were on his side backed off after that. One person wrote, "I'm sorry, but if this is the way a spokesperson from TPUSA speaks, then I do not want my teenage high school son anywhere near this organization. I'm absolutely appalled." And here's the thing, he only addressed that one specific allegation and completely ignored everything else people were asking about. Then the internet started digging into Andrew's dating history, and that's when things got really interesting. People started building this entire narrative that Andrew has a pattern of marrying into fame and celebrity proximity, and apparently he has that in common with Erika.
A great story. I can't really tell you who this was, but it was a very important person. And it happened within hours of the news.
If you've been following the investigation, then you know Erika has been called out for being a professional climber. Someone whose dating history looks more like a VIP guest list than a personal life.
His current wife, Caitlin, is related to Tim Lopez from the Plain White T's, while his ex-wife, Nicola, is the sister of Natasha Bedingfield. The internet ran with this, creating a whole theory that Andrew and Erika were a perfect match because both allegedly chased proximity to influence, status, and powerful circles. But according to online investigators, the affair rumors aren't even the biggest bombshell here. The real scandal, they say, is that Andrew and Erika may have known each other way longer than anyone realized. Like, long before Charlie Kirk was ever in the public picture. Apparently, before certain records allegedly disappeared from the internet, Andrew Kolvet's old Truth Finder employment history reportedly showed a connection to something called Global Angels Children's Charity back in 2011. And here's where people really started losing it. That exact same time period is when Erika, back when she went by Erika Francfay, was running her own Romanian Angels charity program through her nonprofit, Everyday Heroes Like You. So why are both of them linked to these angels organizations at the same time, years before TPUSA ever became their shared world?
Andrew Kolvet's current wife, Caitlin, is the sister of Plain White T's drummer, Tim Lopez. Andrew has married the sibling of a famous prominent musician. He really has a type. So now we know why him and Erika get along so well. They're both thirsty for fame and clout.
Then Andrew's brother got pulled into the mix. Internet sleuths noticed that Lieutenant Colonel Erika Kirk reportedly has ties to Romania through military operations and was even photographed alongside Romanian military police units. Shortly after people started connecting these dots, critics claimed parts of Andrew's online history began quietly disappearing. Now, the narrative online has shifted completely. People are saying this was never just a random group of conservatives who bonded through Charlie Kirk. They believe this was already a tightly connected inner circle years earlier, and that TPUSA simply became the place where all those relationships finally surfaced publicly. Some are even claiming the Angels' connections were the original thread tying everybody together, and one person leading that charge was Zach Costello. Zach started connecting Andrew Kolvet, Erika Kirk, Johnny Moore, and the Kairos Company into one giant web, and people could not look away. According to Zach's breakdown, Johnny Moore allegedly became a major behind-the-scenes power player, quietly helping guide TPUSA's transition under Erika Kirk's leadership. He claimed Moore's company, the Kairos Company, served as a strategic communications partner for TPUSA and held serious influence over the organization's media direction going forward.
It's Andrew Kolvet that we are really going to focus on. And since Candace Owens stunningly dropped that Mikey McCoy allegedly communicated with her through a third party that Andrew Kolvet should be looked into further, I understand that many, led by Baron Coleman, have started doing just that.
Then he pulled Andrew into it, pointing out that Andrew previously worked for Kairos after allegedly being recruited there directly by Johnny Moore years earlier. But Zach wasn't just calling out workplace drama. He was suggesting something much bigger, that an entire inner circle operation had formed around TPUSA's leadership. He started linking Johnny Moore to conservative media networks, pro-Israel advocacy campaigns, political strategists connected to Washington power circles, and even foreign influence registration filings. Then he tied all of it back to Andrew and Erika, arguing they were part of the same tightly connected ecosystem long before the public ever caught on. Online audiences absolutely ran with it because the timing looked way too suspicious to ignore, especially after old Fort Huachuca stories started resurfacing and adding even more heat to an already blazing situation. And if the web wasn't already tangled enough, people started reposting claims that Erika and Andrew allegedly trained together at a gym connected to Fort Huachuca years ago. That detail alone sent the internet into a full spiral, because at this point, nothing about their connection feels random anymore. Think about it for a second. We're not just talking about two co-workers who happen to end up at the same organization. We're talking about a trail of connections that keeps stretching further and further back in time, and every single time people think they've hit the bottom of it.
So Andrew Kolvet is obviously a key player, and he is a former Kairos employee. He was recruited by Johnny Moore. Yes, Johnny Moore recruited Andrew Kolvet to the Kairos Company before Andrew joined Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA.
Another layer shows up. Fort Huachuca is a United States Army installation in Arizona. And for Andrew Kolvet's name to allegedly be connected to that same space where Erika was present years ago, that's not something the internet was just going to scroll past. People started going deep into the archives, pulling up old posts, old photos, old location check-ins, anything that could either confirm or shut down the theory. And instead of finding reasons to dismiss it, they kept finding more reasons to keep digging. The gym connection might sound like a small detail on the surface, but to online investigators, it was one more brick in a wall that was getting taller by the hour. Meanwhile, Andrew kept publicly defending Erika harder and harder, and even that started raising serious eyebrows across social media. Every time a new accusation surfaced, Andrew was right there, front and center, shutting it down with an intensity that people found way too personal for someone who was supposedly just a professional colleague and spokesman. A normal spokesperson keeps things calm and measured. Andrew was out here swinging, and people noticed. His responses weren't just defensive, they were emotional. And for a lot of people watching from the outside, that emotional investment was its own kind of evidence. Critics started saying things like, "You don't defend someone this hard unless there's something personal at stake."
It's a three-pronged campaign approach. According to 2025 and 2026 reports and foreign agent filings, these three figures, Brad Parscale, Chad Schneiker, and Johnny Moore, are linked through a multi-pronged, multi-million-dollar media and public relations effort launched by the Israeli government.
And that sentiment spread fast across every platform where this conversation was happening. But here's the moment that truly broke everything wide open. Even Candace Owens made it clear she found Andrew suspicious. Now, Candace Owens is not someone who throws shade quietly. When she signals that something doesn't sit right with her, people pay attention. And the second that clip hit social media, people completely lost their minds. Comment sections exploded. Reposts went through the roof. Suddenly, this wasn't just a niche conservative Twitter drama anymore. This was a story that people across the political spectrum were watching and discussing. For a lot of viewers, Candace's reaction was the moment this whole situation crossed from interesting rumor territory into something is seriously going on here territory. Because if someone from inside that same ideological world is raising flags, that carries a completely different weight than outside critics pointing fingers. What started as whispers about a rocky marriage quickly snowballed into a full-blown behind-the-scenes political scandal, and it keeps getting messier and more layered by the day.
Andrew is hired by Charlie in 2018. All of this happened in 2018. Another fun fact, in August of 2018, Erika Kirk is brought to Turning Point USA headquarters, and her and Charlie begin dating right afterwards.
People who tuned in expecting a simple did they or didn't they story found themselves deep in a rabbit hole involving charity organizations, military installations, foreign country connections, media strategy companies, and an alleged inner circle that may have been quietly operating long before most people had ever heard of TPUSA. And that's what makes this story so hard to ignore. It's not just one controversy. It's not just one bad response from a spokesperson. It's a collection of details that, when you line them all up, start painting a picture that a lot of people find very difficult to explain away as coincidence. Now, some people online are starting to wonder if Charlie Kirk himself allegedly noticed that certain relationships around him were getting a little too close, way before the public ever caught on. This is one of the more sensitive angles of the entire situation, because Charlie Kirk built TPUSA into a massive conservative platform, and the idea that things may have been shifting underneath him without his full awareness is something his supporters find deeply uncomfortable to even consider. Some online commentators are suggesting that certain behavioral changes in the organization, certain shifts in how decisions were being made, and certain new faces gaining influence behind the scenes. All of it may have been visible to Charlie long before any of this became public.
Erika wasn't in some fort in Tucson. The internet's gone insane. She woke up next to Charlie on the night. Went to the office with Charlie all day, woke him up from a nap before a fox hit, went to dinner with Charlie. Literally, people are lunatics.
They're not saying he ignored it. They're saying he may have noticed something felt off and wasn't sure what to do about it, or didn't yet have the full picture of what was actually happening around him. And if that turns out to be true, people think this could become a way bigger headache for that entire circle than anyone ever expected. Because it wouldn't just be a story about personal relationships crossing professional lines. It would be a story about whether an entire organization's direction was being shaped by an inner circle with its own agenda operating quietly while the public face of TPUSA continued as normal. That's the kind of allegation that doesn't just create drama. That's the kind of allegation that can fundamentally change how people view an entire movement and the people running it. And the online reaction to all of this has been something else entirely. People who were once strong supporters of TPUSA are now openly questioning whether the organization they backed was being run the way they thought it was. Former fans of Andrew Kolvet have completely flipped, pointing to his aggressive responses and emotional defensiveness as proof that something doesn't add up.
Now, guy dip. Good. Good, keep going.
Even people who have no strong feelings about conservative politics one way or the other have been pulled into this story simply because the web of connections keeps getting stranger. Social media has turned into a full investigation zone. People are creating timelines, cross-referencing dates, mapping out organizational charts, and comparing old social media posts side by side. The level of detail that online investigators have gone into is honestly remarkable, and for every claim that gets dismissed, two more seem to pop up and demand attention. Critics are also pointing out that the pattern of information disappearing from the internet is itself suspicious. When someone's employment history quietly vanishes from a public database, when personal information gets scrubbed from public records, When social media posts from certain time periods become suddenly unavailable, people notice. And in today's internet culture, trying to erase something often makes people want to find it even more. The Kairos company angle is still very much alive in online discussions too. People haven't forgotten that a strategic communications firm with alleged ties to conservative media networks, political strategists, and foreign influence registration filings was supposedly sitting at the center of TPUSA's media operations. And the fact that Andrew Kolvet allegedly had a direct connection to that company through Johnny Moore years before any of this became public?
You see, Angie, what I told Erika Kirk was that part of the reason why I suspected Turning Point USA and why I thought she should be looking into other people is because someone at Turning Point USA got a message out to me. And that message was that I need to look further into Andrew Kolvet.
That thread is still being pulled by a lot of very determined internet investigators. Some commentators are even suggesting that the full story hasn't come out yet, that what the public has seen so far is only the surface layer of something that goes much deeper. They believe there are more documents, more connections, and more former insiders who haven't spoken publicly yet, but are watching this situation very closely. The Romania angle hasn't gone away either. The combination of Erika's Romanian Angels charity work, Andrew's alleged connection to Global Angels Children's Charity during that same period, and Lieutenant Colonel Kurt Kolvet's reported military ties to Romania people are still connecting those dots and sharing their findings across platforms every single day. And through all of it, the central question that started this entire avalanche is still sitting right there, unanswered and impossible to ignore. Why has Andrew Kolvet been this emotionally and publicly invested in defending Erika Kirk? That question launched 1,000 investigations, and none of the answers that have come back so far have managed to fully satisfy the people asking it. This story is nowhere near over. If anything, it feels like it's still building towards something bigger. Every week brings new details, new claims, new clips, and new voices entering the conversation. The people who have been following this from the beginning say, the deeper you go, the less any of it looks like coincidence, and the more it starts to look like a carefully connected network that is only now being exposed to the light. What happens next is anyone's guess. But one thing is absolutely certain: the internet is not letting this go. And as long as new information keeps surfacing, people are going to keep digging, keep sharing, and keep demanding answers that nobody in that circle seems willing to give. If you made it all the way to the end of this one, you already know what to do. Smash that like button and make it count. Subscribe right now so you never miss a single update as this story keeps developing. Share this with someone who needs to know what's really going on behind the scenes. And drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think there's more to this story than what's been revealed so far? Or do you think people are reading too much into the connections? We read every single comment and we want to hear exactly what you think. See you in the next one.